if there's one game you could point to that just wasn't able to catch a break this generation, it would have to be Crackdown 3. And Eurogamer just posted an article yesterday that I want to discuss in depth about how Crackdown 3 is in a tough spot. Yeah, you think? What's going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. Now, this is a pretty damn good article. I'm going to link it in the description as you guys should check it out on your own. But I'm going to read a section here and then we're going to talk about it. Goes on to say, fast forward to 2018 and Crackdown 3 is in a tough spot. It suffered multiple delays, met with apathy online, and was even rumored to be cancelled. Behind the scenes, developers, a raft of developers, have worked hard to turn Crackdown 3 into a real video game that will actually come out. They have faced multiple challenges along the way, which people close to the project, speaking with Eurogamer anonymously, have indicated has a lot to do with that pesky cloud multiplayer, its 100% destructible environments, and exactly who is and isn't working on the game. And you know what? When I think Crackdown 3, I think missed potential. I think delays. It's like the poster child, at least for this generation. I know you can point to Last Guardian, on the PS3, but my God, Crackdown 3 was a game unveiled at E3 2014, was supposed to come out last year on November 7th, actually had a date, was delayed to spring 2018, and then at E3 this year, Microsoft decided to delay it a final time, according to Eurogamer, that this is the last time Microsoft is going to delay Crackdown 3 to February 22nd, 2018, presumably because Phil Spencer in this article mentions that they wanted to give it a really good release date. They didn't want to have to compete with the Red Deads, the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, the Tomb Raiders, and all that stuff. But instead of that, now you have Crackdown 3 competing with the likes of Anthem and Division 2 and Days Gone and Metro. Now you just have a new set of problems. And you know what? It is a disappointment, because when I first saw the demo that I am playing right now for you guys of the destructible environments, I let my imagination run wild, just like Eurogamer said in the article. I was like, holy crap, I've never seen multiplayer destruction like this. Sure, some of the Battlefield games would have some destruction. You could knock down some buildings, but not in the way that Crackdown 3 was doing it, right? And I'd always thought to myself, oh man, if they could nail this, this is going to be an evolution in multiplayer gaming. But I should be more cynical. I should have known better. I should have thought to myself, you know what, this is probably biting off more than they can chew. Is the Xbox One really that powerful? No, it really wasn't. But then, of course, everybody told me they have the power of the cloud behind it, Rand. They can do all these great things. Just believe. And that was back in 2015, and here we are, 2018, and we haven't seen the multiplayer since. Microsoft decided to show off a single-player demo last year at E3, which kind of was met with meh reaction, very mediocre. Some people enjoyed it, some people didn't. But then this year, nobody got to play Crackdown 3. Not the single player or the multiplayer. Now, we do have Gamescom coming up, and maybe there's a potential for Crackdown 3 to multiplayer to be kind of, I don't know, reintroduced as the Wrecking Zone, which is like a 5v5 multiplayer thing where it's like, I think you're supposed to, whoever can destroy the city as fast as possible is the goal. I think that's what it is, alongside the single player and the co-op. But I don't even know if Gamescom's the way. Maybe Microsoft is just trying to shuffle this game along, releasing in February alongside those other games just to maybe parry it. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of faith in this title anymore. And maybe Jez Corden, when we talk about this stuff on Thursday during the Xbox 2 podcast, maybe he'll have some information about it. But honestly, I'm starting to believe, I'm starting to feel that Crackdown 3 is just a lost cause at this point. That no matter how much money and time Microsoft gives Sumo Digital, who is the ones mainly working on the title, that no matter how much they give them, it's just going to end up the same. Just a mediocre title that's going to launch and probably hit a 70 on Metacritic, and nobody's really going to remember it a year later, and they're never going to be able to do a Crackdown 4. Now, who's at fault for all this? I mean, clearly, Microsoft has to shoulder some blame. They are the ones who showed off the initial 100% destructible environments with those demos, getting people's expectations up through the roof. Clearly, they delayed the game because it wasn't ready. But Eurogamer goes on to say that one of the issues was that nobody really knew who was working on the game. Dave Jones was hired to build the multiplayer out, and then eventually his company, CloudGen or whatever, was bought out by Epic, and he doesn't even really know if the tools that they built for Crackdown 3 would be in the game, that it's up to Microsoft. Now, Microsoft has said, yeah, it is in the game, but as the Wrecking Zone. But then you go on to these other studios. You know, too many chefs ruin the dinner. Isn't that like some sort of saying? I know it's not the exact saying, but you have Sumo Digital. They're the main people behind the game. You also have Ruffian Games working on it, and Red Kite Games as well. So there's a lot of hands in the pie. And you know what? Quite frankly, I think maybe they just picked the wrong studio to make the game. I really do believe that talented developers can make a great game. And I know Sumo Digital can make a great game, as I played one of theirs called Snake Pass. But I don't know what it is. I think maybe if you maybe picked a different developer, maybe gave them a bigger budget to begin with, we'd be playing Crackdown 3. Then they talk about management, how Crackdown didn't really have clear management, and now that they've moved Ken Lab over to oversee that, which is good, although maybe they should have done that years ago so the project would be finished. They go on to say here that the new Crackdown has soldiered through a number of challenges in development, many of which are a familiar story in the video game industry. We've heard Jones's ambition for the game, tantalizing outlined at big media shows such as Gamescom, were simply too big to be made a reality in a fully functional multiplayer environment on Xbox One. We've also heard Crackdown 3 has struggled in terms of solidity of vision and lacked clear management. As one person familiar with the project put it, who was and wasn't working on the game was the source of many past and present issues. I mean, reading all these articles, just thinking about how many times this game has been delayed, how little we've actually seen about it, it stinks of a game that isn't going to be very good, doesn't it? I mean, I'll give most games the benefit of the doubt, but honestly, I sit here, I read this stuff, I look at all the delays, and yeah, we've heard the PR from Microsoft about how they wanted to give it time, they wanted to give it more money so they can put it on the level of a Halo or Gears of War, but I don't think that was ever going to be a realistic thing. If you wanted to make Crackdown on the level of Halo or Gears of War, you should have done it last gen. You should have done it with Crackdown 2, when Crackdown actually meant something to gamers and people were very positive about the franchise after Crackdown 1. But unfortunately, you gave the team a year of developmental time, you didn't give them a lot of money, and nobody cared for Crackdown 2. And then the franchise went away. So I get PR responses, you know, every studio, every publisher is gonna have them, and it's like, yeah, we want it to be great now, but it's like you had your chance. And just with how this game has been handled these last 5 years, I don't think it's going to do what Microsoft wants it to do. Now, of course, you have Xbox Game Pass, and Microsoft wants titles for that service to keep people subscribed, and who knows if Microsoft really even cares about Crackdown 3 performing exceedingly well at this point in time. Maybe they just want a title for Game Pass and be like, here's a decent game, just like State of Decay 2 was and Sea of Thieves was for other people. Enjoy while we work towards a Gears of War 5 and the Initiatives game and Ninja Theory's game and the new Fable game and stuff. Like, let's just get Crackdown 3 out the door. Now, it is interesting about who actually delayed the title, and Sumo Digital actually had some quotes here from Phil Spencer, and it was him. It was Phil Spencer that personally delayed the game. He goes on to say, well, the article goes on to say here, at points throughout the last 12 months, I heard someone from within the UK video game development community that Crackdown 3 was in danger of being cancelled as a result of its apathetic reception among gamers and its developmental troubles. Xbox boss Phil Spencer, himself a fan of the first Crackdown game and the person who gave Crackdown 3 the green light, told Eurogamer that he decided to delay Crackdown 3 after playtesting the latest build. He goes on to say, I might be partially to blame on this one, Spencer told Eurogamer. I'm a huge fan of Crackdown. I played a lot of Crackdown 1. It's one of my favorite Xbox franchises. Earlier in the spring, I got asked by somebody whether it was canceled. I said no, the team has a date. They know the date and they're shooting for it, which was the date I had in my head. And then I started playing the game and it didn't feel right to me. I felt like the game needed more time to reach what I think of as Crackdown, which I think should be a strong Xbox franchise. Now, does anybody else, when hearing that, kind of, I don't know, get a little bit worried? Because I do. I know Phil loves Crackdown. And the fact that he playtested it and says it doesn't feel like Crackdown 4 years into development kind of worries me a little bit. This isn't a game that they started working on a month ago. This is a game that has been in development since 2014. And I'm a little bit worried that the head of Xbox playtested it and decided, you know what, this doesn't feel like Crackdown. I need to delay it again. Considering it's been in development for 4 years, I can't get that out of my mind. I know Phil likes to be transparent, and I believe everything he says because I know the guy. But this one right here just doesn't... I know he's trying to be like, hey, this is why I did it, you know, blah, 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 blah. But man, 4 years into development, and it doesn't feel like Crackdown. Does that not strike you as they picked the wrong developer to make the game? They made a mistake? Maybe they should have canceled it a long time ago along with Scalebound. I mean, I don't think they should have. In fact, I know that this article goes on to say that they've heard that Microsoft won't delay the game again, that if it does, it might get canceled. They can't cancel Crackdown, in my opinion. Scalebound is one thing, which you've heard the rumors about what went wrong with that title. Is it true? Is it not true? We'll never know. But clearly, something went wrong with Scalebound, as Platinum Games hasn't really attacked Microsoft for that. And you know Kamiya would, because he's very outspoken. So something went wrong with Scalebound that you really can't blame Microsoft for. Maybe you can't even blame Platinum for, but you just can't cancel this game. In my opinion, it's a core Xbox franchise, even if it's not a level of Gears of War or Halo. It needs to come out, and I'm just not sure it's going to be good when it comes out. That's the kind of takeaway from reading all these different articles who've talked to developers behind it. I don't know, man. I'm starting to kind of think that they're just going to release this game alongside Anthem and just put it out there. And if it flops, it flops. But at least it came out. It kind of sucks when you lose faith in the title, doesn't it? Because I've lost a little faith in Crackdown 3 after reading all this stuff. Now, of course, possibility still exists that the game's going to be great. And I really, really hope it is. But some of these quotes here by Phil himself and some of these anonymous devs, they make me think we're in for a mediocre title. Another 68 on Metacritic. Another bland video game from Microsoft. But who knows what the future holds. I just wanted to give my thoughts about this. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below about what you think about Crackdown 3, as I'm sure everybody here has a different reaction to it. Are you still looking forward to it? If you are, let me know in the comments. Share this out on Twitter. You know, all that great stuff. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. I really appreciate everybody who took the time out of their day to watch the video. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.